worst is that the trauma doesn't end once they cross the border. It just simply changes its form, because we have to also think about the danger and expenses of leaving your country and immigrating elsewhere. And not only from a financial aspect, let's talk about the physical risk of crossing the border. Beyond exposure and injury, and exposure to the elements like a desert, like the rain, like the jungles, like the environment, people, the journey just through Mexico is fraught with extortion. We know how Mexico is corrupted, but you will know how much or how bad the corruption is once you get there. You know, you can be extorted, kidnapped, and for some females, they live the horrifying experience of sexual assault. And these are all perpetrated by cartels and organized criminal groups. And the worst is that you pay your coyotes, and they're the ones that introduce you to the danger and expose you to be extorted. It's sad, right? But Machiavelli warns us through his book about how we operate when we have power over another person. It's sad. What's more sad is the financial cost. It's staggering. The average price tag a person pays to a coyote or the smugglers often ranges from $8,000 to $15,000. And this is per person. So if you're going with your whole family, think about the debt you have already that you have put to at risk, because the coyote doesn't guarantee your safe crossing. And like I said, in most cases, you get extorted for more, or you're kidnapped. I know this because I know of a particular person that has been in Mexico for 8 months, kidnapped. They actually asked their family to send them $8,000 more, but their family's poor. They sold their land and they don't have any more money. Finally, after many months of being kidnapped, they let her go because they knew they couldn't get her. Thank God they didn't kill her. And she's just still waiting to cross the border. And she's been out of her country for almost 10 months. I wonder how is she surviving there? How is she getting a plate of food every day? But thank God there's just like there's bad people, there's also good ones. And for what I understand, there's a family that is helping her to survive until one day she's able to cross, if she ever crosses too. Think about this: instantly saddles migrants with crippling debts upon arrival, requiring immediate intense labor in the US. And this is also going to compound into their traumas, because not only that you have to take any work because you have to pay your debts, but it must be horrific to not just go through the experience, but also to think that now most of the work that you do and most of the payment you receive has to go to pay a debt where no one guarantees you that you're going to be safe in this country in terms of immigration or ICE trapping you and taking you back home. But again, I understand if you decided to take upon this journey, you must understand these are the consequences you expose yourself to. And the question is always, can you live with those consequences? Now, let's also reflect on the professional tragedy for many professionals that come here legally: doctors, engineers, lawyers. The choice to emigrate to the United States means sacrificing their entire career. Upon arrival, they find out that their degree and years of professional licensing are not recognized or easily transferred or credited so they can work in their professions. This forces them to start again from zero. It must be a big toll to pay to have invested not only resources and money, but time to be a professional and then be a nobody. Again, the psychological toll could be very traumatic, because now you was once relevant because of all your efforts, and today it didn't matter what you did. You have to rebuild yourself. And this is where resiliency plays a huge factor on how to overcome this challenge. The question is everyone mentally prepared to start from zero and rebuild themselves and learn a new language, learn a new culture? Leave your comment. Tell me what you think. Do you think everyone can do it easily? And then just think about, imagine an engineer and a doctor just working as a driver, construction, and in most cases for females, maintenance and cleaning. So sometimes when you see an immigrant cleaner or working in construction and driving, you might be working with somebody that has a doctorate degree, a master's degree, and yet you can only think that they're just a cleaner. But this affects your psyche if you are that person. Just think about the psychological cost of seeing 10 or 20 years of professional investment rendered useless. Is a devastating blow to self-worth and identity, even if you are safer here. Feeling safe is a great feeling to have, but it's very difficult to rebuild your self-worth and your own identity in a place where nobody knows you. Hopefully, you have family members that can help you rebuild yourself quicker and also create within yourself the identity you need to be successful in this new country. But more importantly, the resilience to understand that what you lived before is something you enjoyed, but because of things you can't control, now you're forced to rebuild yourself. And in that process of rebuilding, your resiliency is going to take you further than what you once knew and what you applied. Or you can always try to go back to school and get your license. But again, language is always a big barrier, especially for those of Latin American background. So readaptation and cognitive dissonance, because think about it, once here, the psychological burden shifts. It's not the same as you were back home. And it shifts to readaptation. And we're not just talking about language. If you come from a tropical place, now you're faced to get readapted with the cold, the winters, the allergies during fall, the rains in spring, people from different ethnicities and culture, how to respect different religions, different criteria, different laws. The culture shock is immense. Just navigating a new language, think about it, you're just standing there and people are talking to you. You can't understand what they're saying. It could turn frustrating, but it can also turn into, I'm going to learn and give everything that I can to learn this language. I think one of the most difficult ones is learning the new social norms. And give you an example in Ecuador, it's all the neighbors know each other. I'm from New York and New Jersey, and there's sometimes you don't even know what your neighbor's name is and how they look like. So it's a different environment. You don't have the social settings as back home. But what's more devastating is because you know that you are illegal. It's often living in the shadows. Worry if they're going to catch you. Are you going to be deported back to your country? And now all that investment is worth nothing. And I consider the cognitive dissonance is staggering. The dream of a safe life, which we all deserve, clashes daily with the reality of exploitation, legal insecurity, not having rights. Let's be honest. And being seen as less than. That's right, especially in the work industry. This constant stress compromises mental health and hinders successful integration. And you will ask yourself, like, how can somebody feel less than other? Well, you don't have a right. You're always looking behind your shoulders, afraid. Fear plays a huge factor. But also think about the fact that you can't communicate well with other people. Think about the fact that a lot of people won't understand what you're trying to communicate with them. And if you, in the work environment, if they know you're illegal, they're going to pay you less than the minimum wage. And this is what I'm talking about, the exploitation, the work exploitation. And we will talk a little bit more about that very soon. But give me your thoughts about that. Have you ever thought that someone being illegally here can feel in this way about their life, being less than? Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Welcome back again, Ethics Skill Podcast, where we explore human experiences. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do not forget our campaign. We are committed to transform your subscriptions into pro bono programs for mental health. So you can free somebody's mind from their traumas and help them heal just by subscribing. Very simple, and it costs absolutely nothing. Help us through this campaign, and we just want to pay forward, not only to our viewers, but for those that can't afford mental health services. Just remember, the statistics are real. Only 4 out of 10 Americans can afford mental health services. So help us change that. Hopefully, we can move the statistics and perhaps move it from 4 to 5 out of 10 people have good mental health.